Welcome back. Let's go ahead and spy on David. This is David's garage. It's very dark, but we don't pull out our phone. Missed opportunity because this garage is dense enough to pull a Victoria's room. We can actually search through enough complicated bits and pieces and find out enough details that it feels really immersive. But because we don't pull out our phone, we don't feel that level of focus and that level of control. So that's a missed opportunity there. But maybe it's just me that feels that having a light is what makes those scenes so powerful.
How about step douche? Try again. I need more clues.
I don't know whether or not it actually remembers how many times you tried to log in and failed, but I'm going to go ahead and rewind. So you can see there are a lot of different places we can go and a lot of different things we can search. Some of them are a little bit boring, but these drawers actually open and contain stuff, which is way better. We learn a lot about David through this scene, like we learned about Victoria.
I could try the license number for the password.
And I would say it's definitely the second best investigation scene in this game.
Maybe this ID number might work. Naturally, David would buy a heavy-duty military padlock. I can even see the combination. That might be a useful password.
7171. I wonder if that'll come up later.
Nothing in it.
So these all
Nothing to
open,
see
and
here.
even the ones where there's nothing to see contain stuff. This is obviously expensive to make. You've got to actually fill all of these drawers and have all of these miniature cutscenes and things to find.
Maybe
But
I
it's
could
a very
try
powerful way to
step
do that
password.
sort of investigation. And I would love to see like a full 3D Phoenix Wright-like game where you searched like this and you
Looks
put
like
things
David's
together
got
like you
this
do
a
later
lot.
in this game. We'll talk more about that when we get there. Oh, this book was a little bit heartbreaking.
Looks like David has read this a lot.
Now, obviously,
What
PTSD
did
is
he
a pretty
learn?
serious concern, but when someone is so clearly struggling with it on their own, it makes you empathize pretty strongly with them, even when they act pretty badly.
David has been dragging his head around since 2001?
Although, to be fair, I think he was probably pretty douchey, even when he was in the military.
Obviously, David's parents care about him. That date might be a good password.
So David's parents obviously care about him. This is from 6 years ago.
Cute. Can't picture David driving Joyce around with this on the car. That's cute. Could be a password here. Even David Madsen might be an angel to somebody else.
Well, he's been helping out a couple of people, and they've been bad choices so far.
Joyce might as well have wrote "Let's get married." That might be a useful password.
Another thing I like about this, and this is subtle, when you actually look at stuff, it's not the first page that gives you the password. You have to hit next to see the password, in most cases. And I like that. It's a very small detail, and you might think it's unnecessary and just an extra click, but it gives you the feeling of actually reaching down and picking something up and then turning it over or looking more closely. And that's really powerful for an investigative game where you're trying to pick things up and look at them more closely. Now, on the funny side here, I've never guessed this password wrong, ever. I picked the right one on my first try, my very first playthrough. And I've always remembered it.
Score! Max the Hacker strikes again. Whoa, spoiler alert. Rachel definitely hooked up with Frank. But why does David care?
Because Frank deals a huge amount of drugs to the students of Blackwell, and David wants to stop that from happening.
Instead of stalking Kate, David could have helped her. This is so wrong. Ugh, creepy bastard.
So I really love this page. Let's go ahead and take a look at Maxine Caulfield's detailed information. Well, We got a school schedule, but let's take a look at her online aliases. Mad Max, okay, that's fairly reasonable. Max Factor, that's kind of nerdy. Noir Angel? Really? I want to see what she posted as Noir Angel. That sounds fun.
I better tell Chloe about this now. It's just one more thing to make her sad.
But you know what? We're not going to leave ourselves logged in. There we go. Taylor? Oh yeah, that's right. This is Taylor telling us that we've successfully wooed her, and she's now our buddy. A lot of people, I think it's 3, invite us to get styled up, and we don't end up having the time to style up with any of them. Not surprising, I guess, given what's going on in our game. We can also talk to Mom here. Hey, Chloe. Here we have a solid conversation from David. It's got a lot of confrontation in it, but that works well, given that we need to drive the plot forward, and we need David to stand out as a character. All told, I think this is very well done, and it does establish that David isn't exactly on the same terms as we are, but he does care about the school. Pacing is incredibly important in conversations, and it's easy to forget to leave gaps where the pacing can fill in, where the tension can fill in properly.
Figures you'd be here. Is that your Rachel Amber Halloween costume?
You know more about her than me.
No. You and Chloe think you know more than anybody. Like all teenagers.
Leave Max alone, David. Stop.
So this conversation is fairly dramatic. It's a little bit melodramatic, but it's fairly well done, and it flows fairly well.
All of us here.
Don't start, Chloe.
Don't know
Not
why there's
now.
always frame
I'm
drops
just
right there.
always starting shit, right? You're a total paranoid, David.
Not now, Chloe.
You used to call me a loser for getting kicked out of Blackwell. So who's the loser now, David? Who haven't you accused or harassed? Between your investigations into Rachel and Kate, what have you done besides get in trouble?
So this is the part that I don't like. Like many of these 2-option choices, the outcomes in both directions are really bad in stupid ways, where Max could get around those by simply saying like one extra sentence here or there, but chooses not to. Now I want to side with Chloe, right? But if you side with Chloe, David gets kicked out of the house, and things go very, very far south for him. The problem is that David is actually trying to do the right thing. And I've been empathizing with him for a while, ever since discovering that he has pretty serious PTSD, and he's still trying to get through life and do his best. The fact that he's not very good at it doesn't mean that he won't be useful. And I could feel like a train coming down the tracks. We're going to have to rely on David, because he's the only person in this entire game so far that has authentically the ability to kick ass. Everyone else in the game is not a badass, but David has training, and he's got guns, and he's got muscles, and I'm thinking, we're up against somebody that murders women. I think that we're probably going to have to pull in David as a last-second stop, and that's true. That's exactly what happened. David saves the day. And you could tell it. You could see it coming all the way, right from the beginning of the game, as soon as you learned that David was Chloe's father. So I don't want to have him kicked out of the house. It would be bad for his character, PTSD guy getting kicked out of the house for being PTSD guy. But it would also be bad from the sense of, I want to actually save some people from getting murdered, and David can help me with that. So I'm going to side with David. The problem is that when you side with David, well, let's show you.
Listen, we don't know that David did anything, and nobody has any proof against him.
Because he didn't do anything.
As far as we know,
and there is no proof against him.
Who's the real threat so far? I would cut David slack here.
Oh, would you? How generous, King Max. So suddenly it doesn't matter
Why
how
is
shady
Chloe
David is
upset
acting,
with me?
or that he keeps all those weird files on your classmates, or how you're always going off on how creepy David
Enough!
is.
I don't want anybody being accused of anything. There's
At this point, I was thinking, well, maybe Chloe is just faking it for the sake of her family, and she's trying to,
Well,
you
I
know, just
agree with that.
she's pretending to be
Now,
upset.
if you all don't mind, I'd like to forget about work and sit down and eat some of this incredible grub.
I have to take a dump. Are you coming, Max?
Yeah, I'll come take a dump with you. What? Whatever. The problem is that Chloe was serious.
Maybe I went
Chloe
too
is
easy on
actually
her.
very upset with us. We went off to look in his files. We came back after looking in his files, and we sided with David. We can travel through time, and we've saved her life several times, and we're dedicated to finding her friend, and she thinks that I've betrayed her? That seems really flaky to me. It's pretty clear to me. I think that Chloe would be like, why did you side with David? And we'd be like, we'll explain it later. You gotta trust me on this. Rather than, you sided with David. It just seems weird, especially since she's just had a joint.
Thanks for letting me down again, Max.
Oh, fuck you,
Why
Chloe.
can't you just rewind so I don't have to see you defending that asshole?
We need him. Now, I'm not against things not going my way as the player. Even scripted events, that's all fine. The problem is that when a character acts out of what I consider to be their character, I get a little bit annoyed.
More than friends.
Right, no way, Max. She was just posing to tease Frank.
So this is another good element. We're traveling to some place, and that's really well done. It makes it feel this conversation can happen while we're doing something, and that saves us a lot of time and does a lot of fun blocking on the cheap. Since the
Let's check the door.
drive to Two Whales has already been rendered, it's already been built as a level. It's pretty cheap to have us drive to Two Whales again, visually, rather than just standing around outside her house having this
I
conversation.
can't believe you hung out with him.
Not anymore. We have to be casual ninjas here.
I like this scene too, though.
Okay, here's the plan. I'll go to the diner and distract Frank by telling him I have his money, but he needs to come with me. Then you come in and rewind so Frank doesn't see me. Then you can tell Frank he needs to check out his RV, and then you rewind after you get the key, and
Chloe, I got this. I'll be right back.
So I really like this blooming of Max. Max feels like she's growing as a character, and she's growing into her character, into her powers. She's starting to feel like someone you can empathize with. She's got just enough confidence without being overbearing and stuff like that. It feels pretty good, this whole scene. And it's a real celebration of Max using her powers. And we're gonna skip most of the color dialogue here. Gotta take a call from Max's dad. I was really shocked to read this because I thought Blackwell was a college. Turns out that Blackwell is actually something called a senior high school, which I've never heard of before, but apparently it's just like the last 2 years of high school, something like that. Either way, that makes sense. If some of the characters are under 18 and are quite young, that would explain why some of them act the way they do. Fish guy still ain't catching no fish. Sorry for him. We could talk to this trucker. I'm gonna skip him for the moment though, because there's a bug in this stage where if you rewind, you can accidentally rewind 2 events. So I'd like to have a buffer event that I don't give a shit about.
So ominous.
This is a really good photography moment, and it feels really good. You've gone from dead birds to dead birds with an ant whorl. And these things are real, they do happen, and it is really a way to punch it up without being over the top. It feels good. Let's go ahead and save this homeless lady's life. I think she has a name, but I don't think we ever learned it.
Hi, how are you?
I remember you.
Or do you?
I heard about that girl almost jumping off the Blackwell roof.
So we can say Kate, we can talk about Rachel, we can say it's a sad week. It doesn't really matter what we say, we're going to end up talking about only one thing.
It's been a sad week at Blackwell.
It's a sad world, Max. But you're so damn young. Oh, if I could go back and be your age again.
I truly wish
More
I could.
thematic phrasing.
You did the last time you
These
talked
kinds
to
of
me.
conversations crop
Now
up
you
in
look
every
like
kind
you
of
could do a
game where
hell
you've
of
just
your
got two
own.
people
Just to
shooting the
find some
breeze and getting
answers.
some dialogue out there.
Probably a bigger
I
sleuth
recommend
than you.
trying very
People
hard to make them as
pretend
interesting
to
as
not
possible,
see,
and in this game,
so
that
I
mostly
see
means that the voice
everybody
acting has to be
and
very, very good.
everything.
Including Nathan Prescott?
That spoiled shit finally got kicked out of his daddy's school.
He also drugged the girl who tried to jump.
Sounds like you know a lot more than me, child.
Yeah, we can't really
I
learn
just think
anything of
Arcadia
value
Bay
from
is
this
in
lady,
trouble.
but
Maybe
we
you'd
can
like to tell
save
me
her
what you're
life, and that's what we're going to go ahead and do right now.
I feel like I can trust you as much as Chloe.
Don't know why you feel that.
You wouldn't think I'm crazy.
Too late for me to judge anybody. Plus, you're not crazy.
Maybe
I'm
it's
just
because
gonna
she has
say
the
this.
same voice actress as the lady that you
I
really
had a
respect.
vision of Arcadia Bay being destroyed by a tornado.
So don't be sitting
Weird.
there tomorrow.
Could be.
Got that?
Bad mojo
Good.
is in the air this week. Thanks for the warning, Max.
So I like the little butterfly thing they do when you do something that's going to have an effect later. It really does make you feel like, oh, okay, so I actually just did something. Talking to the homeless lady, you might not think, okay, well, who cares? But when you see that it's actually had an effect on the game, that's nice. You can feel that you've changed something. Although, the thing that you've changed is whether or not one mesh is rendered in one spot later in the game. At least you're not in the dark. You're not thinking, did I do something? Because a big part of these story-driven games and narratives is that it's often very hard to figure out when something you've done is at all important. So it's good to have that kind of feedback where you can see whether what you've done has any value. Another way to do that is turn it inwards, which is the BioWare approach, where you get Renegade or Paragon points for choosing good and evil. That's another way to do it.
Hey, how's it going?
You ready to be a disposable event,
Interview
Mr.
over.
Trucker?
Having a bad day at the office?
Work is dried up around here.
If you break the trains, he complains that he's got too much work.
That sucks.
Wish I could drive right out of Arcadia Bay. Whole town is crumbling. Snow, eclipse, and a slut trying to commit suicide.
Maybe you should leave then.
What if I could?
Even minor conversations have some pretty heavy emotional investment in this game, and that's one of the things that makes it
Can you tell me about
playable even when there are so many conversations to go through. So if you can't do voice acting, you're gonna have to try and inject that personality into the phrasing of the words, into the animation of the faces, and into the body language and blocking. Hey, did you know that I know the catchphrase 1977 Need 'em
Hey,
18-wheeler?
how's it going?
Peachy. Interview over.
Actually, I wanted to ask if that's your bitchin' 1977
Needham
Needham
18-wheeler?
18-wheeler out there.
How the hell did you know that?
Rachel Amber told me.
My friend Rachel Amber told me about this cool rig in town because I love taking pictures of truckers.
You knew Rachel. She sure didn't give a rat's ass about truckers. Or real work.
Oh, so you must have known her too?
Only from the diner. She was just a gold digger. She belonged in California with all those who know what's.
Actresses?
Good riddance. But
YouTube stars?
you can take pictures of my truck anytime. Take care.
Now, that might seem minor, but that's actually the only way that you can take a picture of this truck, which is a fun little reward for it, for acing that conversation. Now, normally, I don't like rewards for acing conversations because you can't rewind time, but in this game you can rewind time and try again, so whatever. It's fine. It's a good reward. Tells you that you've done the right thing. And it doesn't matter if we lose an event because we keep that picture. So if we rewind too far in here, who cares?
Good lord, bacon. I'm ready to nosh again. Ugh, but I need to get those keys from Frank.
Well, we got Nathan, we got a cop, and we got Frank. And those are our 3 stars today. Let's go ahead and check the bathroom. Oh, there's more shit written on the walls. The sea and sky will turn black. and the living things will die because of it. I think it's a quote from something. Maybe it's a Bible quote. I don't remember. But the camera, I don't know if you noticed, has a sticky point, specifically so that we can look at it. I don't know whether they placed it in the camera's default sticky point or whether they actually created some kind of camera rig adjustment for that one location, but that's worth looking at. Another thing I always noticed when I came in here, this is the angle in which I'm normally looking, and at this angle, Rachel's eyes have been scratched out by the marks in the mirror, and I noticed it literally every time I came through, just like, whoa. I don't know if it was on purpose or not, but most of the other pictures that you get of the various harassed targets, including yourself, have eyes scratched out in a very similar manner. So I was like, oh, every single time. I wonder whether it was on purpose or not. If it was on purpose, it's marvelously subtle. If it wasn't on purpose, then what a coincidence. Let's enjoy our newfound Max.
I just wanted to see what would happen if I did this.
I'm gonna kill you.
Now this is how someone that can rewind time should act.
You eat like a pig. Try the floor.
I was eating those beans. Are you fucking insane? I was eating those beans!
Wait, are you accusing me of being fucking insane? You were eating 2 pounds of just straight beans. That's, something. My guess is that you're planning to use the bathroom here, rather than the one in your trailer. Ah, see, here's the bug. I can't not rewind. Pretty great, right? So it's a good thing I talked to that damn trucker. Or else I'd have to talk to the homeless lady again. And that would be annoying. What the heck? Well, it looks like maybe it's the homeless lady conversation that causes this bug. This is fascinating. What the heck's going on? Oh, maybe I didn't get past the trucker yet? No, I'm still stuck. Well. Yep. I took precautions specifically so I wouldn't have to do that. That's not gonna work, though. No, we're still stuck. God damn it. Now that I think about it, it might be the beans. Do we have to rewind all the way back to the beginning? Are you kidding? Whoa. Well, that is quite a bug. This is a good time for us to pause, and I'll come back next chapter or next episode. We'll pick up here, and we won't spill the beans because I think that's what's causing this bug. Something about where we end up being framed, where we end up standing after the end of the bean eating animation or bean dropping animation. It's a game breaker, but it's not too bad because we can always just reload the last checkpoint. And I'll see you when I get back to Frank.